बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम नाज़रीन, आज का प्रोग्राम साडा पंजाब के बजाय इलेक्शन 2019 हमने किया है. सो इट विल बी टोटली इन इंग्लिश. I start it with the name of God, one God, who is responsible for my and your existence, who has made laws for our respectable existence, but we keep on doing against his laws, and we get disrespected, and we get distrusted, and we are stressed, and we are depressed, and we are deprived, and many more things. Let me say two things, two couplets actually. I will relate them and I will associate them with the whole program in the end. कि हमें ये ज़ख्म दिए हैं हमारे लफ्ज़ों ने, जो फैसले थे ज़ियां के तमाम अपने थे. And the other one is, तकदीर के कदमों में सर रख के पड़े रहना, ताईदे सितमगर है चुप रह के सितम सहना. So before I go further, let me introduce, well, she doesn't need actually to be introduced, but still Honorable Lucy Powell is my guest today, Labour candidate from Manchester. She is candidate, still I am associating word honorable with her. As to me, she is MP or she is a candidate. She is respectable. That's my personal experience, and not only mine. Many of her constituents believe the same. Welcome, Lucy Powell.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for that lovely introduction.
Well, that's true. I mean, keep one thing in mind. I never used even a single word in my life which I don't mean.
Oh, thank you.
That what I believe, I say. Right. Thank you very much again. It's my honor, it's our honor to have you in Manchester Central, and we wish to have you actually on larger scale. But how did you think such a, normally we think that politicians are not good, they're very selfish, they work for themselves. How did you think that you, such a nice person, such a empathizer, yeah, feeling the pain of others, feeling the needs of others and working for them, how did you decide to come in politics?
Well, that's a very good question, and thank you for broadcasting here from Manchester. It's great to be in the studio here, and for your kind words. Well, I know people think politicians are selfish and we are in it for ourselves, but I think I could speak on behalf of most politicians here in the UK, that for most of us, even though we might disagree, most of us are politicians because we want to improve the country, we want to make things better for people, we want to give ourselves to public service. And you know, I first joined the Labour Party when I was 15 years old.
All right.
Very young girl here in Manchester.
All right.
At the time, Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister.
Oh.
You may remember Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
And what she did to the UK, you know, made Britain very unequal.
Yes.
Manchester was in a terrible state. It was a city that was declining. We had poor education, poor healthcare, poor housing, and as a young girl growing up in Manchester, I wanted to change that. I wanted to change the life chances for my friends and my colleagues. So I joined the Labour Party because I think the Labour Party is the party for equality and for social justice and for giving everybody that same opportunity, no matter where you come from, what your background, what your religion, what your race, where you come from, whether you're rich or poor, and that's how I became political. And then many years later, the opportunity came up to stand to be the MP for Manchester Central, and in 2012, how long ago? 7 years ago now, I was elected the MP for Manchester Central, and now I'm re-standing in this election again.
Well, wish you good luck. Very good. Tell me one thing. How many constituents are there in Manchester Central?
Well, it's a very large constituency, Manchester Central. Most constituencies are about 70,000 people on the electoral roll, but there's lots of people who are not on the electoral roll.
Yeah.
But in Manchester Central, it's 100,000. 100,000 on the electoral roll. Probably the population probably more like 120,000, maybe 130,000, because there's a lot of people not on the electoral roll.
Yeah.
So by population, it's one of the biggest constituencies in the UK. So it's busy. It's busy.
100,000 and let's say unregistered, if you include that, it's 120,000. Oh my God. Looking after so many people going to Parliament and raising their voice and making laws and rules, everything, and then dealing with their individual cases in Manchester Central in your office. How do you spare some time for your own or your family? Or I just can't understand how.
Well, it is a very demanding job. It is a very demanding job, but it's not really a job. Being a politician is not a job. It's a way of life. Like for you, your passions, they're your voluntary pursuit as well. Same for me. It's my passion. It's my pursuit. It is more than a job. So it is many hours, but I have 3 children here in Manchester.
Yes.
One of them, it was their birthday on Saturday. She was 10, so I had to take the day off because even though we're close to an election, a mum has to be there for her daughter on their birthday. Yeah. I hope you will agree. I hope everyone will agree. I can have a day off for my daughter's birthday. So it is a challenge, I think, for any mother, any father who has a busy job or has 2 jobs or lots of things going. It is a challenge to make sure you find the time to be with your children as well. But you will know, because sometimes at the weekend it's hard for me to do everything I want to do as a politician and be a good mum as well. So I try.
In such a hectic and busy life, if I'm too much stressed, I will go I will lock my room and I will listen to some good music, classical music that I like, that gives me peace. Right?
Okay, good.
But how do you do when you do you come stressed as well?
I'm quite lucky because I'm not a person who does get stressed very easily. I can absorb a lot of stress, but there are times that I do get stressed. We're in an election now. That's a stressful time because it's so important, this election. It's just so important, and I really want the direction of the country to change. So that brings stress because it's such a huge step we're about to take, and I'm a part of that. But no, if I do. The only thing I really do to relax is do some cooking. Maybe cook a big meal for the family or something, and I put music on, and that's how I relax. Yeah.
What I wanted to ask, is there art in your life in any way, painting, drawing, or music, or any creation kind of thing?
Well, my husband is very artistic.
All right.
So he does lots of painting and drawing. So he finds the time.
So art is there by all means in your life.
It is, and my children are very artistic too. And my daughter, she is very musical. She sang in a concert at the cathedral last night. My daughter in Manchester Cathedral. Right. She had a solo. She was the soloist.
All right.
So
good.
So yes, I don't. Yeah, I would like more time to do those things when I'm retired.
All right. No, long time. Still long time.
Yeah.
Lucy, when we viewers, one thing. When I say Lucy, please believe that 2 words are there with Lucy: honorable and Powell. Honorable in first, and then Powell, Honorable Lucy Powell, but I'm saying just Lucy.
We are friends. We are friends. So you call me Lucy.
Then you are more respectable to me, more honorable if we are friends as well. I mean, if we don't honor our friends, we are honoring no one.
Absolutely.
We don't honor ourselves if we don't honor our friends. Right. When we think of elections and current life, and I look around in Manchester and other places, I think of NHS, I think of education, I think of poverty, I think of loneliness, I think of disability. Day by day, I become more and more and more hopeless. Only hope what I see is if the system or system controllers are changed. That's why election is there, and that's why, let me be open, that's why I support Labour, I support you, or everything. That I believe that we are made to feel poor, we are made to be in poverty, more and more and more deep in poverty. They don't want to give us time to think about other things. They just want to get us worried about gas, about electricity, about food, about children uniform, about this, about that. Yeah. All this is a humiliation kind of thing. I mean, when we intentionally or knowingly leave someone in an uncomfortable state, we are humiliating him, we are betraying him, we are abandoning him. How can we stop this, how we can restore our general public's respect again?
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right, and it is degrading. Poverty is degrading, isn't it?
It is.
And no one should be living like that. And what we're seeing now is, as you say, more people in poverty, more people working and in poverty.
Yeah.
It's not people not working. This is people working 1-2 jobs who are in poverty. And I think we do need big change. We need a big system change, as you say. And I think that's what Labour is offering at this election. A big investment in public services, so a lot more money. Big changes to pay, so increasing the national minimum wage, changing universal credit, because that has really hit some of the poorest in society very hard, the disabled, those in low pay, those who rely on benefits. Universal credit has been a real challenge. And we know the poorest in society, they are the ones that need the good education, the good healthcare more than anybody else. So that's why we have to invest in that as well. But it's not just about money. I think we've got to change the way the system works, so that we give more voice and more power to every man, woman and child in the country, so that they can shape those services. Because one thing I always say is that demanding people, a demanding population, that's when you get real change. But when, as you say, people lose their voice and they feel they have no agency and power, then the services decline, but also the whole community declines as well. And we've got to restore power and voice and agency for ordinary people, as well as that extra investment to give them the best opportunities.
Yeah.
So I think we need big change.
In system.
In the system, big change.
Right. When we think of, a few basic needs we have, right to stay safe, housing, education, and health, and proper food, and a bit of recreation. When I go in the meetings of Poverty Truth Commission, like myself, there are people who say, since last 20 years we haven't been on holidays. Last 20 years they haven't been on holidays, and it's hard for them to make both ends meet here. Let's go with our NHS first, the biggest threat that I feel. It's clear now that some people are here, some personalities are here who are supporting to turn NHS into THS, that's Trump Health Services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you promise that if Labour comes in power, NHS will stay NHS and it will improve again?
Yes, absolutely. The Labour Party, we created the NHS in 1948. That was a radical Labour government, the kind of Labour government we want to see again. We decided after the Second World War, when the country had no money, we were just come out of Second World War and things were very depressed, the economy was very poor. We took the decision then to create the National Health Service, and it's in our blood as the Labour Party. Whenever we've been in government has been when the NHS has been at its best. My husband is a doctor, he's in accident and emergency here in the region, he runs the department, and he sees that firsthand, and this is why he's also a member of the Labour Party, because in his life he's seen the ups and downs of accident and emergency and the health service, and you know how much the Labour government matters to that. So yes, we'll keep it as the National Health Service, absolutely. We're going to invest extra resources into it because it needs extra money, but crucially it's also about addressing social care and supporting older people at home, because that's social care is seeing huge cuts, much bigger cuts than any other area. And you ask people like my husband, who's on the front line, why is it that so many more people are now coming to hospital and hospitals can't cope with the extra demand? He will tell you that most of that comes from older people who should be being cared for at home or cared for in the community, but that help and support isn't there, so they have no choice, or their relatives or whoever's caring for them have no choice but to take them to A&E, to a hospital. And this costs more money in the end, and putting someone in a hospital bed for a few weeks is hundreds of thousands of pounds. Looking after them at home is a few £1,000s. So we've got to restore that. So Labour will deal with the issues that are putting the pressure on the NHS, as well as giving the NHS the extra money that it needs. And I think both of those are important.
Now here's the relative thing, kind of. We are losing our family system, family unity system. I mean, when it comes to care, I mean, families, there's no family without care. When we care of each other, we become a family. Even if we are not family, when we start caring about each other, we become a family. Let's say that someone is very old, 55, 60, 65 and sick, he needs care. And his own daughter or son, who is graduate or well educated, he can look after him. On the other hand, he can do a job as well, somewhere else, not in home. If he stays in home and looks after his father, having good education, caring properly with love, with heart and soul, the government pays him £65 a week to live on. Do you think that if he has done his masters and he has got good opportunity somewhere to work as well, which way should he choose to go to job and leave the sick and ill father in home on the care of don't know who? Or do you think that when Labour come in power, you will think of carers as well?
Yes, we will, and I know you'll make sure we do too, because carers is your is something you talk to me about a lot as well. But you know, the story you tell there is a familiar one, and this is some of the challenges that we have in society today. We have an older population, people are living for longer, so you might retire when you're 65 or 66, but you might go on to live for another 20 years now, whereas that didn't used to be the case. Families are more fragmented, so they live apart from each other, and if your children get a good education, they may move to the city or move abroad or move somewhere move somewhere else. So families are not together in the same way that they used to be, and so this is why there's this extra pressure on the care system as well. And we certainly don't reward or pay for carers properly in this country. We don't recognise that properly. Being a carer is one of the best jobs you can do for, not just for your family and your loved ones, but for society. Because if people weren't carers and the state and society had to pay for all the costs of that care for that person, it would be astronomical, huge amount of money. So we should be rewarding carers properly. I can't remember exactly what's in our manifesto on carers, but I do know that we will recognise and reward carers much more.
God bless you. Thank you very much for feeling for carers as well. I mean, they are, again, like you said, job on twice, two points here about politicians, that is a job. Well, actually, an honest and devoted politician is not doing a job. He is doing a kind of worship.
Yeah.
On the other hand, an honest and devoted carer is not doing a job.
No, exactly.
It's a worship. It's serving human, helping human, looking after him, caring about him. To me, it's a worship.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's no price you can pay on that, but you do need a minimum.
Yeah, at least they need to live.
Yeah, they need to live.
I mean, they should not feel that, oh my God, I'm doing such a nice thing in the world, and what I'm being rewarded, what I'm getting out of it.
But also, one of the things we have been looking at is how, in a bit like when somebody's had a baby, they can ask for flexible working, they can change their working patterns to meet their new demands as a parent, as a mother or a father. You're making it easier for those with caring responsibilities to also get that flexible working, and so we need employers as well to recognise this. It's not just for the government, but for employers to recognise that at different points in people's lives they might need to work part-time or change their working hours so that they can do the job of caring as well, without having the choice of leave work completely or don't do any caring.
Both things can be done.
Both things, if we have a society that recognises that more, and I think raising the status of that will help.
Agreed. Let's come to children.
Yeah.
My daughter, year 10, she comes home, has never tried, straight eats something, opens bag, homework, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna sleep. Saturday, Sunday, please don't wake me up. And she has got a bag, trust me, I can't pick that bag, that much heavy bag. Do you think that we are putting unnecessary burden on children in education?
Well, it's a good question. I've got one in year 11 as well, so he's only just started getting to the point of doing his homework without being nagged, but he's starting to do that well now. I think there's probably a better balance. I mean, the new GCSEs and the new pressures on young people are enormous. A lot of it is focused just on their exams as well, and not all children are really good at exams. They might be good at writing, but not under pressure or whatever. But we do need to make sure that everybody's getting a good education, and that they can leave school and they can achieve what they want to achieve, and they can go take that next step, whether it's university or whether it's an apprenticeship or vocational course or whatever. We do want our young people to have the necessary skills. So I think the pendulum of education often swings. So a few years ago, when I was at school, it was sort of 20 years ago, that sort of era, it was it's not as academic as it could have been maybe. And now maybe it's gone the other way. It's a bit too much testing and too much focus on the small things and not the person. So we maybe just need to get the balance a bit better on that. But
we believe that when you come and you will pursue it, and it will be bit better.
Yes,
than
what I
now,
certainly do accept, and I think this is very clear, is that with the demands of Ofsted and of schools being under a lot of pressure to get all their pupils through a certain number of exams, English, maths, science, a smaller number of exams, we're losing from the curriculum. We're losing arts, music, performing arts, design, expressive and creative subjects, and that's not good. It's not good for young people. It's not good for young people. They need to stimulate their themselves in other ways and release the pressure of just the academic subjects. But also, as a country, society, economy, we need those creative subjects to make television programs, to expand our minds, to explore new ideas. And so Labour we will make sure that we have a broad curriculum that supports the arts and creative subjects as well.
So the Labour will respect art and artists as well.
Absolutely, it's critical. I mean, and Britain's known for it around the world, aren't we? I mean, our creative designers, our artists, film making, these are even computer gaming, all these things, we're known around the world.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And it all comes from artistic people. So
let's hope that you will get there. When we come to, once I said in another meeting that the biggest pride, the biggest pleasure is for a man is to go out, do work, make good money, come home, put food on the table and sit with the family and eat. Do you think the population we have enough chances for them in market to find the work they can do as well at the moment?
Yeah, for everybody. Yeah, I mean, the big problem with our economy at the moment is what's called sort of productivity, and that people are not either working to their skills level or working to the level that they can do. Or they're not being sort of productive enough. So I think that's about having lifelong learning as well, because the economy is changing. It's changing very quickly. Yeah. The digital age, what they're calling the new industrial revolution. So a lot of robots taking over jobs, technology and digital. Some of the jobs we're doing today, many of the jobs we do today, won't even exist in 15, 20 years.
Yes.
The jobs that your daughter in year 10 and my son in year 11, the jobs that they will do for their lives, we've never even heard of yet. Yeah. So how can we be giving them the right skills? We just don't know, let alone you or me. If I don't get re-elected, what job will I do? But I mean, so we need, what Labour has said is we will have the National Education Service, a bit like the National Health Service, so that throughout someone's life, whatever age they are, whether they're a young person or older person or someone in between, they will have a right to education, to getting those new skills, so that even as the economy changes, as people's jobs change, there will always be that opportunity for everybody, whether they're a 50-year-old man or whether they're a 25-year-old woman who needs to re-educate themselves or get new skills. So we will have lifelong learning with Labour. That's a
very good thing, very good thing to do. Again, when we come to living, it's good. UK, the Britain, the British. I tell you, I'm here since 19, 20 years. And when I wasn't here, I knew that that's the most respectful nation, a respectable nation. They know how to respect humanity. Since this universal credit is introduced, I think that respect of people, honor of people has been taken away from them. I mean, leaving someone in need of something which is available, which can be available, is kind of inhuman. You leave someone in vulnerable position, without proper food, without proper heating, without proper roof, or without proper feeling at least. Do you think it is a reversible universal credit, although it's spread more than what is it called, robovirus? I mean, too much spread in the country now. Is it reversible in future?
Well, what we said is that we will stop the kind of rollout of universal credit. We will fundamentally change universal credit, big reform of it. Because there are some things about it that just aren't working. I mean, I think the idea of bringing together all the benefits in one benefit is not a bad idea, but the way it's been delivered is really not working. Like you say, it's pushing more people into poverty, but it's losing dignity for people and respect. And we need to restore some respect and dignity. So the 5-week wait at the beginning, having to wait for 5 weeks and take out a loan right at the beginning is a real challenge. The cuts to universal credit, so the legacy benefits that universal credit is replacing, it's less money. So especially for the most vulnerable, the disabled, the long-term ill, universal credit, they are much worse off in universal credit, and the government promised that they wouldn't be, but people are. In some cases, hundreds of pounds a month for a disabled person, they are worse off on universal credit. So we will change that. And then some of the issues around that, like that also affecting it, the bedroom tax that gets raised with me. So somebody living in social housing, if their children leave home or they have a spare room, they will lose benefits because of that, even though it's a home that they've lived in for 20 years. This is a real issue. The benefits cap as well, which affects certain communities more than others, so where there's bigger families. So that's been a real challenge for some families here. So there are big things about it that need to change, and that's what we will do. So we will, our starting point will be dignity and respect and that safety net. That's what our benefit system is there to do, as well as helping people to get back on their feet and get back into work.
Lucy, again, Honourable Lucy Powell, when you were telling me losing dignity, if I forget last 6-7 years, yes, I could never imagine that a Prime Minister of UK will be dealt with or will be looked at with some confusion or less respect, which now I have seen in Brussels. When we go there, I mean, sitting in my home, I feel low. Oh my God, why we are in this position? Why did we need to go there in this position where someone can tell us that, excuse me, you need to check your mental health, kind of thing. Why do we think that, or why conservatives are thinking that Brexit is vital for us? Why?
Well, it's a good question. And Brexit's a very complex, difficult sort of issue. I mean, the challenge here is that we put it to a referendum and people voted for Brexit. I didn't vote for Brexit. I don't know how you voted. I don't know how many of your viewers will have voted on Brexit, but more than half the population voted for Brexit. And so even though it's something that I don't want to see happen, I do think that we should respect the fact that people voted for it. But what we're saying at this election, what we're going to be doing if we win this election and we're in government, is we want to get a better deal. So when we say better deal, we mean a closer relationship with the European Union. So we have closer economic ties and trading ties. We remain in a customs union that means goods can flow more easily and so on. And then we will put that back to a second referendum so that people can have a choice. Do they want that kind of deal, or do they want to stay in the European Union? And that's what we said we'll do, so that we've got to try and help.
When we say that we will go back to people, we ask for their free opinion, free consent, free decision. What you want, tell us what you want to do. I believe one who is suffering vulnerability, poverty, loneliness, stress, depression, anxiety, he is given even more fear. Excuse me, there are 100 billion people coming to your town to live here. He will get more stressed. He won't be in a position to decide, to make right choice or decide properly. Do you think in 2016 we have been given all the facts accurately to?
Well, a lot of people ask this, people say this, but I think people who voted for Brexit, when I speak to people who voted to leave the EU, they did so knowingly, and we live in a democracy, and part of our democracy is that everybody's voice, everybody's vote is equal. Just because I think I might know more than somebody else, or that I'm more educated than somebody else, it doesn't mean to say that I might have a stronger voice than that. And that's the issue with it. We had a referendum, we asked people a question, and just because we don't like the answer doesn't mean to say we can ignore it, and that is part of our democracy, or question it. But I think having a different referendum where you've got the proposition of what the choice now is facing our country with the detail of that, I think that is something you can justify doing. But I don't think we should have a rerun of the same referendum. But it is a challenge for us, because our democracy is a parliamentary representative democracy, so we're not used to having referendums here. Other countries, more regularly have those big referendums. We don't do that very often here, because in the UK we elect people to be MPs, and for them to make the decisions in Parliament for us. We have a representative democracy. And so I think this is why Brexit's been such a challenge for our country, because we are joining together direct decision making with a parliamentary democracy, and that has rubbed up a bit the wrong way. And you put that in with a hung parliament where we've had no overall majority, trying to do something that no country's done before, which is leaving the EU. No one's done that. We've been in the EU for 40 years or so. We're institutionally, politically, legally, economically completely tied in, and we've got to somehow break away when we've got a parliament that's got no majority. I mean, it's almost been impossible. And I think that's what people are fed up of.
Yes, that's true. My personal opinion, I'm not very good with the figures and amounts and kind of things. But what I have been recently, I was reading some report that is $13 billion is the fee of membership of EU, and all we get back is 4 billion, and so 9 billion pounds we are paying. The thing is, if we save 9 billion pounds a year, and on the other hand, we lose 21 countries that used to salute us, that used to see us like a symbol. Oh my God, they are the people. They are the people, right? We lose them. Do you think we will feel much respectable with those saving 9 billions, or losing those 21 countries?
Well, I mean, look, I think personally speaking, I think we're a stronger, more influential country as part of the European Union, but that's not the decision that people took. So we have to make that argument all over again for the next generation, really, and maybe for a future referendum with a Labour deal on the table, and we'll have to make those arguments again. But yes, I think the big challenge with Brexit is that loss of influence in the world. And I think we can see that over the last 3 years, that it's meant we've been so focused on Brexit and all the issues of that, we haven't been able to provide the leadership in the world on the conflicts that are happening in the world, on climate change that's happening in the world, or the challenges for the global economy and poverty elsewhere. Britain used to be at the forefront of all of those discussions.
Yes.
Yes. Because of our history, because of our place in the United Nations, because of our place in the global world, and we haven't been able to play that role for the last 3 years.
Yes.
And that's a real regret for me. So
same for me, and same for any and many.
I know.
It's a regret.
It is.
We should not come in this position. Yeah.
And I think we have been diminished, and I think part of that has been the deadlock over Brexit as well. Not just Brexit itself, but the deadlock over Brexit. That Parliament, we've not been able to move forward with it. So it has left us diminished. But it's not what I would have chosen.
Let's hope that people have understood now that what should they vote for now. I believe people have understood, and they would, in my opinion, they would vote to remain in there.
Well, let's see. And people have a chance. You know, we have an election on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's not all about Brexit. Far from it. This election's about the NHS and education and universal credit and all of those issues as well. But I think people have a clear choice on Brexit as well, between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. So, you know, people can express their view about Brexit in this election as well.
What are we doing for our youth? My son, 14, he was arguing with me, since now months, that father, tell me, can a 70-year-old man vote, right to vote? Yeah. 80 years, yeah. How long would they live? I said, God knows. Average, I said, maybe 10, 20, 30 years more. And how old am I? 14. How long would I live? Maybe 60, 70 years. Why don't I have right to vote? I thought, well, you are a child. Why are they teaching us then that citizenship and kind of right to vote? And well, if they are teaching us, they should, and it's our life that will be affected in future. They should give us right to vote as well. But that was one thing. What are we doing for our teenagers that are spending more and more time in streets and town centers? And normally senior people are very uncomfortable. Sometimes they behave in that way. Are we, as a Labour, have you planned any activities for them, or to?
Yes, well, I mean, look, your son sounds like a very wise 14-year-old, and I fully support votes at 16. I think young people should have a vote at 16, because at 16 you can pay taxes, you can have a job, you can I think you can join the army. You know, you could do lots of things when you're 16, but you can't vote. And I think it sounds like your son would be able to make up his own mind about how to vote just as much as any other member of the population. So Labour supports votes at 16. That's something we've long campaigned for. But in terms of young people and youth provision, again, a bit like we were talking earlier about social care, because it's been funded by local government, the youth services and youth groups and all of that have almost completely disappeared in the last 10 years with the Conservatives. Biggest cuts we've seen have been to local government and to things like the youth service. So here in Manchester, for example, 40% of the local charities working with young people have disappeared, completely disappeared. And the ones that remain are doing much less work than they used to do. So Labour has committed in our manifesto, over £1 billion to restore the youth service network and youth groups, because there's cause and effect. We've seen an increase in knife crime, an increase in youth violence, children not engaging, young people not engaging properly in school, more exclusions from school, all of these things have gone up and up and up over
Yeah.
the last 10 years because of cuts to youth provision, but also the extracurricular activity at schools. School budgets have gone, so a lot of the provision that schools used to provide, after school clubs, extracurricular, a lot of that has gone as well. So we need to give young people more to do, keep them busier and engaged and active with good role models,
Yes,
so that we can tackle some of these issues. And as with other things, it ends up costing us more in the end to not invest in youth services, because it costs more to deal with knife crime and all the issues that's involved with that. It costs society more, not just financially, but in human cost as well.
Yeah, it's like again when we come to DWP, they looks like as a policy they say no first, right? And then after a long battle, people go to a tribunal and they have their evidence and they win there in the tribunal. Then they give. Why don't they think like this, that help delayed is help denied?
Yeah.
And when they give them, right, then the vulnerable or the one who is in the need of help, he becomes so much stressed and so much mental issues are with him that that work capability assessment, independent, I think is the paper,
Yes.
who was saying 17,000 people, they have died waiting.
They have.
Yeah, and
It's
I was
tragic.
just, I just wrote the figure, oh my God, I'm not going to read further.
Yeah.
Over 4,000, that's about 2017, the people who have committed suicide. Oh my God, I cannot imagine still. I wish this country to be back in like it. They have been like they have been supporting their public, they have been supporting their citizens, and they have been looking after them. One more thing, people feel that they have been abandoned. There is no one to. They feel lonely now. They don't share their pains now with no one, because they have been crying so long, no one heard. And now they are, if you have noticed, that mental health has gone up so much. People are suffering
exactly.
now. I believe that this is just because people believe that, oh, there is no one to help us now.
Yeah.
And this is the worst stage in life, where you find yourself that country is full of people,
Yeah.
the world is full of people, and you find no one who listens to you.
Yeah.
How can we, how Labour will deal with it, with loneliness, how they will bring people who are living together, how they will bring them together?
Well, I think loneliness is one of the the big societal challenges that we face, and it's only going to get worse. And mental health, is at the heart of that. And as you rightly say, if we don't deal with it, it ends up costing more, because people can't work, people are less productive, people are unhappy at home. That can have a knock-on effect to children, to relationship breakdown, and in the end, all of that costs us all more, not just financially, but in that human cost as well. So we have to tackle these issues. So we've said, mental health support is going to be at the forefront of our reforms to the National Health Service, making sure that mental health services and the provision for mental health is on a par with physical health.
Yeah.
Mental and physical health need to be on a par. That means investment, it means more funding, but it also means a better understanding, better training, so that GPs can identify that better, but also employers in the workplace, in schools, people can better understand and see the signs of mental health issues, that they can get the support they need.
Right, thank you very much, Lucy. In the beginning of the program, I said a few things like हमें ये जख्म दिए हैं हमारे लफ्ज़ों ने, जो फैसले थे ज़ियां के तमाम अपने थे. That all the cuts we have got, they are we got it from our own words, our own actions, our own choices. We allowed people to harm us. Whatever was the wrong decision, it was made by us. No one forced us. So that was in the beginning. I said, now I'm going to say to my viewers, here's Lucy Powell, his labor. All the cuts. Well, I'm not talking about cuts that government has given and austerity kind of thing, but all the pains we feel, all the loneliness we feel, all the stress we suffer. This is our own decision, who we choose to govern us, who we choose to rule us, who we choose to work for us. We have gone through lot in last 4, 5, 6 years now. Again, day after tomorrow is the time to make a decision. जो फैसले थे ज़िया के तमाम अपने थे. Don't do it what you have done in the past. Think carefully. I'm not asking you to support anyone for nothing, but you have heard Lucy Powell. She is here. To be honest, it was not a election campaign. I mean, she is a very good person, very good MP. I just wanted to have some good time with her, and I wanted you to know her as well. That how does she feel? How is she actually when she is a bit informal? So here is Lucy Powell. Again, personally, I am gonna vote. By respect, I am gonna vote Labour. I am gonna vote her. So one more thing. तकदीर के कदमों में सर रख के पड़े रहना, ताईदे सितमगर है चुप रह के सितम सहना. Don't say yes or don't keep quiet when you are hurt. Don't stay in home. It's rain or storm or whatever. Go out, cast your vote to the candidate, to the party you love, you think that they will work for you. Thank you very much for your time, and I am very, very, very well. Thank actually is a worn-out word. It will not express my gratitude to you, Lucy Powell.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much for your time again. I personally wish you, like many others, to become MP again and work for us and do all the things what you have said here. I'm going to catch you if you don't do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, viewers. See you again next Tuesday, Sada Punjab.